and other states have been victims of multiple federal overreaches, but today we're going to say no. And you know what? It's okay to say no to a bad idea.
Yes.
We have to say no first in order to bring conservative solutions to the table. We Republicans and conservatives always get criticized for not bringing conservative solutions to the table with health care. I have plenty to offer, but we cannot bring those solutions forward until we slow down Obamacare, because it is the antithesis to what we have to offer. We cannot run against a brick wall, and that is Obamacare. Our solutions, we have to go through the brick wall, and that's what 707 will do. At this point, I am going to turn over the mic to constitutional attorney Bruce Fein, who's been absolutely indispensable in helping and shepherding House Bill 707 through the legal landmines inside the Gold Dome. And I'll turn over the mic at this point. Thank you.
I was born in Cambridge, Massachusetts, not far from Paul Revere's right. My first mics here.
There's no mics.
There are no mics here. You just shout.
Okay.
No shout.
Demosthenes is challenged. And it's truly an honor and privilege to see the people's voice and awakened citizenry be so unrelenting, so forceful, so committed to the democratic process. It is what makes America different from other countries. And it's really, in my judgment, quite a discredit to the media and many of our critics to suggest that we are the radicals, we are outside the mainstream, we are pioneering revolutionary ideas. Because we are in the middle of the Constitution. This is exactly what the First Amendment protects, the right to petition our legislators for redress of grievances, gathered petitions, testified legislative hearings, made the phone calls, emails, and in-person visits to members' offices, and did compromise from optimal legislation. We didn't walk in with ultimatums. We were the ones who were ready to be accommodated. And yesterday, what did we find? Political chicanery, procedural chicanery, to prevent what the Senate knew would be a favorable vote on HB 707 from occurring. That is what I call radical. That is outside the mainstream. That is not what America's about. That's what you expect to find in Red Square under Vladimir Putin, and we reject it. This legislation is pioneering because it's a statement that the federal government cannot conscript the machinery of state government and state resources to enforce an unpopular, unschooled, ill-conceived federal mandate that the federal government itself will not appropriate monies to enforce. There's an effort here to say, well, we understand Obamacare is a debacle, but we'll let the states be the messenger that delivers the bad news, and so the wrath will be heaped upon the state rather than where it belongs, right in Washington, D.C.
Yeah. Here.
And that is why the principle established in this bill is so critical. It is the first step in a journey of 1,000 miles to return the federal government to the size expected and understood by the Founding Fathers, and enable the states to serve what they understood would be laboratories of governance to compete against one another for business and citizens based upon how well they conceived public policy, which is critical if we're to move forward. The science of government is the science of experiment. We understand when Congress makes an error, everybody suffers. It becomes a logjam because when everybody suffers, you don't have the ability to escape from the nonsense. People can protest with their feet at the state level. A state does something wrong, you leave. That sends a signal. You better change if you want to keep your citizens and businesses, right? And we've seen it happen over and over again. And that's why the principle of this bill is so critical to our future as a country. We cannot entrust our liberties, the stewardship of our destiny, to those at the federal level who know egomania, who keep building a Leviathan larger and larger every single year and taking us to ruination like all other empires. That's why it's important, after I think we're crowned with victory on this occasion, we do not tarry in setting the next goal a little bit higher year after year. It won't be accomplished in a day. Rome wasn't built in a day, but it sets the trajectory in a way where our children and our children's children can be confident they will inherit liberty, freedom, and good governance, just as we are benefiting from those who sacrificed Valley Forge, Cemetery Ridge, Omaha Beach. We can do no less if we want to be respected in the eyes of our posterity. We cannot afford to receive the reproach that the Roman Empire did from Roman Republic from Tacitus. The worst crimes were dared by a few, willed by more, tolerated by all. Well, we will not tolerate these crimes. We will fight. That's what today is about. Thank you.
I want to make some closing remarks. There are groups out there that feel like that we have not gone far enough, but you see where their bills are. They haven't got out of committee. What I will say to opponents who say we haven't gone far enough is that we have fought that fight and we're not going to win that fight. What I will say is that the budget, we're getting criticized on the budget because Obamacare does add fees to the state's health benefit plan. That's costing you taxpayers more money that we have to send to Washington. We have fought that fight in court. We lost. We lost that litigation. And these are fees that are being applied to our state health benefits plan, but we're not going to stop there on that issue. I will be back next year and we will fight that issue again, but sometimes you can only get what you can get when you can get it. And what we're going to get today is 707, but we will come back and fight those other fights another day because it's the right thing to do, and we're not going to let the federal government interfere with our ministerial functions of government to provide resources to our citizens. That is public education, that is public safety, and we are going to make sure that those core functions of government are preserved, but we cannot make sure that those core functions of government aren't preserved unless we get the federal government out of our pocketbooks. We still have work to do. 707 is just the beginning. We have to take risk. The Democrats took risk and it survived one constitutional death, Obamacare did, by one vote. It survived a constitutional death by one vote on the Supreme Court. We have to take risk as well, but we have to be calculating, we have to be logical, we have to make a winning argument when we say no, not just say no. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for coming out.